Coco Gauff Aryna Sabalenka drama resurfaces as Naomi Osaka's behavior draws sharp remarks. "I think she won the match not because she played incredible, but because I made all those mistakes," said Aryna Sabalenka of Coco Gauff, right after their French Open final clash. Her controversial reaction made headlines for weeks as the world #1 was questioned for her stance on the 21-year-old. While the Belarusian confessed that her 70 unforced errors made it look like she played the worst tennis in months, she wasn't able to admit that Gauff played better than her to capture the Suzanne Lenglen Trophy. Fortunately, both players made peace with each other ahead of Wimbledon more than a month ago, leaving the bitter experience behind. But this month, a similar incident occurred, with four-time Slam Queen Naomi Osaka attracting backlash after losing to Canadian prodigy Victoria Mboko. And some of the notable figures are not happy at all with the Japanese star. For the uninitiated, Osaka and Mboko recently played each other in the Canadian Open final. The 18-year-old emerged victorious after she bested Osaka despite trailing in the opening set. With a scoreline of 2-6, 6-4, 6-1, Mboko became the first Canadian woman to clinch the WTA 1000 title in Montreal after compatriot Bianca Andreescu, who won in 2019. However, the match between Osaka and Mboko caught more attention over a controversial off-court gesture from Osaka. During the presentation ceremony, Osaka didn't congratulate Mboko. Instead, she said, "I don't really want to take up too much time. I'll just say thank you to everyone. Thank you to my team, the Ball Kids organizers and volunteers. I hope you guys had a good night." Now, former WTA icon Rennie Stubbs has come out to criticize Osaka's post-match remarks, especially toward Mboko, who said she always looked up to her, Osaka, when I was really little. In a recent podcast episode, Stubbs said this was arguably worse than Sabalenka when Sabalenka went hard at the French Open with Coco about essentially how lucky she was to win the match. She continued, because she, Osaka, had about 12 minutes after that match to gather herself to think the best thing at least I can do is congratulate her and get off there. Stubbs' co-host Caitlin Thompson couldn't agree more. She said, "I was more upset about this than I was about Sabalenka." Interestingly, she also made some crucial remarks on Osaka's personality. Thompson questioned the former world #1's intentions as a mental health advocate, especially considering how much she's spoken previously about needing space and needing grace and needing a lot of understanding. According to Thompson, that kind of only works if they extend it to other people. And I have to say, what I've seen from Naomi Osaka is that it doesn't seem to extend beyond her. Coming back to her gesture toward Mboko, it appears the Japanese started realize it later, and she was quick to make amendments while expressing kind words for the 18-year-old. Naomi Osaka apologizes to Victoria Mboko. Naomi Osaka's 2025 season has been miserable to say the least. At the beginning of the year, she missed out on the ASB Classic title after an abdominal injury forced her out in the final. Then it forced her out of the Australian Open in the third round. Later, her inconsistency across most of the events became very much evident. She's not been able to make a lot of deep runs so far. The defeat against Mboko was perhaps the final nail in the coffin, with her post-match snubbed the unintended consequence. However, Osaka was quick to correct course in the aftermath. Hours after the final, the four-time Slam winner took to Instagram Threads to clear the air. While issuing an apology to the Canadian teenager, she wrote, "Thanks Montreal, it's been a really great run. I also want to say sorry and congratulations to Victoria. You played a great match and have an amazing career ahead. I realize I didn't congratulate you on the court." Later, during a media interaction, she reiterated her sentiments toward Mboko, saying, "I don't know why my emotions flipped so quickly, but I'm really happy to have played the final." Commending the teenager, she added, "I think Victoria played really well and I completely forgot to congratulate her on the court, but yeah, she did really amazing." What are your thoughts on Osaka's post-match behavior during the Canadian Open final? Was it justified? Let us know in the comments below. The Cincinnati sun was brutal that Thursday afternoon, the kind of heat that bakes the court into a shimmering mirage. Coco Gauff had just finished her third-round match when the whispers began to swirl again, not about her next opponent, but about that rivalry. Aryna Sabalenka's name was back in the headlines alongside hers. It had been months since their last high-stakes clash, but the tension between the two had never really cooled. Their history was a series of glances, clipped post-match comments, and that infamous moment from the 2023 U.S. Open final handshake that fans still debate frame by frame. Now, with both women in Cincinnati, the old drama had resurfaced. And just when the tennis world thought it had the week's controversy mapped out, Naomi Osaka's on-court behavior lit another spark. A rivalry that never sleeps. The Gauff Sabalenka dynamic has always been a paradox. Respect layered over competitiveness, admiration shadowed by an edge. Publicly, both players insist there's no personal animosity, just two fierce athletes with clashing styles. But this week in Cincinnati, Sabalenka's pre-match press conference stirred the pot again. Asked about Gauff's recent form, she smirked and said, "She's been winning, yes, but let's see how she does when the pressure is on. Sometimes people play better as underdogs." It was hardly an outright insult, but the subtext was clear to anyone who'd followed their battles. Social media immediately clipped the quote, pairing it with slow-motion footage of their frostiest exchanges. Gauff's response with restraint. Coco Gauff, now seasoned enough to navigate the media's thirst for drama, kept her composure when asked for her reaction. "Everyone's entitled to their opinion," she said, her voice calm, but her eyes carrying that flash of competitive fire. "Pressure is part of the sport. I welcome it. I've handled it before, I'll handle it again." Still, the answer was enough to fuel the narrative. The rivalry was alive and well, and both women seemed poised for another collision course. Enter Naomi Osaka. While the media swarmed over the Gauff Sabalenka story, Naomi Osaka was quietly making her own waves in Cincinnati. Her comeback season had been a roller coaster, brilliant shot-making one day, puzzling inconsistency the next, but wasn't her tennis that drew the latest round of sharp remarks. During her second-round match, Osaka had a visible disagreement with the chair umpire over a time violation. Her tone, sharper than usual, caught both fans and commentators off guard. When a linesperson missed a call moments later, she muttered audibly to herself, tossing her racket toward her bag at the changeover. To some, it was a rare glimpse of raw frustration from a usually composed champion. To others, it crossed a line.